Hello, my name is Chris Richter and I'm going to take you through a bit of an adventure through the chord patterns in a song. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one song, or one chord pattern that is a verse, a chorus and a bridge for a song, and we're going to go through and see how we can turn that into 5 different styles or different ways of playing that exact same chord pattern. So you can see the different ways that you can transition a song with similar chords into something that will become your own song. So this is primarily quite useful for songwriters, but just for guitarists of any type who want to have a go at being more creative with the chords that they're playing and the rhythms that they're playing in a song. So first of all, we're going to look at the chords in the song and see what we're actually working with. So the song is, the piece of music is in the key of G. So that means that the chords that we can choose from will be a G chord. We have an A minor chord, a B minor chord, a C chord, a D chord, and an E minor. So that's the collection of 6 chords that we are going to use to build this song, build this piece of music. Now, with music, we tend to break verses and choruses up into, or sections of songs into 4 or 8 bars. So for this exercise, we're going to use 4 bars for the verse, 4 bars for the chorus, and then we'll also have a bridge. And a bridge is what they call the middle 8, or the it's a section that's a bit different than the verse and the chorus to just create some extra color, to allow you to put an instrumental in, or add something that's different that breaks up the rest of the song. You don't have to have a bridge in a song, but we're going to use one in this. And what we're going to do first of all will be to create each the verse, the chorus and the bridge and the chords that are in them. And then I'll go through each one and we'll play them in our 5 different styles or different ways of playing those same chords to give you a completely different sound depending on the type of song that you're aiming for. So that's what we're going to do. And our first step will be to put the chords together for the verse. The chords for the verse, remember we looked at the choice of chords we had. There was G, A minor, B minor, C, D, and E minor. So they were the chords that we can choose from. So that's a fairly simple choice. And because we're in the key of G, we generally just start with a G chord. So we're going to do that. First chord will be G, and we'll do that for 1 bar. We're going to keep most of this really simple in that we will put chords 1 bar per chord at this stage. You can obviously have 2 chords per bar or more than that if you like, but we're going to keep it very simple purely because we're going to be changing the styles of things as well. So we don't want to overcomplicate the song. So for our verse, we'll start with G. Now, typically, the chords that you would jump to the most in a song, if it's in a major key, and we're in G major, will be G, C, and D, because they're the major chords. So for our verse, we're going to keep it very simple and just use G, C, and D. So we'll go from G to a C chord for bar 2. And because we're in G, let's just jump back to G again, and then back to D. Now, the reason we use a D towards the end of a phrase, so we've got a 4-bar phrase there that we've just created. We use a D at the end because D is actually the 5th chord starting from G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G, A minor, B minor, C, D. There's the 5th chord. And the 5th chord in a key tends to be a really good chord for leading back to the G chord. It just has a sound to it that makes it sound like it's going to resolve, is the term they use, back to the key or the chord that the key is based on. So that's why I've put a D as the 4th chord there. And we'll actually pick that up a bit in the next 4 bars as well. Then, because with music, having it repetitive, or the music patterns repetitive, it makes it easy for people to sing along to. We're going to repeat that nearly exactly the same. Nearly exactly the same doesn't make sense, does it? So we're going to go G again. This is our 5th bar now. Back to C. Back to G, which is what we already had for our previous line in our verse. And then instead of using a D, we're going to make it a D7. So that's our verse. Our verse is made up of G, just the major chords, the G, C and D out of our G major key, out of our chords that we have available to us in the key of G. So G, C, G, D, G, C, G, and D7. And that's our complete verse. So if I was going to strum that just as a straight, simple, easy strum, it would sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, G, D. So this is our verse, remember, G, C, 2, 3, 4, G, and back to D7. And that's our verse. So next after that, we will look at the chorus and work out what chords we will use for the chorus. Chords for our chorus. We've just finished on a D7, and I did say that a D7 in the end of the verse leads back to a G, but because we don't want to sound like we're going back to the verse, I'm going to change it and we're going to go to the C chord instead. And our chorus will start with C, which is the fourth chord in our G major group of chords. And we'll go to G, we'll go from C up to a D, which sounds like it's sort of moving up and going somewhere, which is what you want with the chorus. You want a chorus to sort of progress somewhere different than the verse and feel like it's moving forward. So we're going from C to our D, which again is one of our major chords. Then we're going to go to a G. Sounds a little bit weird there. Why are we doing that? Well, we could stay on the G for 2 bars. So our chorus could be G, then repeat again, C, G, and that can be our whole chorus. C, D, G, G, C, D, G, G. We're keeping this very simple, remember? But because that sounds a little bit boring just to be doing C, D, G, G 3 twice for the chorus, there's a thing called relative minor. And what relative minor means, if you have a major chord and you go back 2 notes from that in the scale of the key that you're in. So in our case, we're on a G. And if we go back from G, we go back G, F sharp, E, the relative minor to G is an E minor. And what that actually means technically is that the notes in a G chord are similar, but only 1 note different. So we take a note out of the G chord and we add another note, and that gives us E minor. So essentially there are 2 notes in the G chord and 2 notes in an E minor chord that are the same notes. So that's why the relative minor chord to a major chord has a similar sound and can be used sort of interchangeably. So if we wanted to vary our G to an E minor, or to another chord, an E minor would be a good choice to use for that. So we're going for our chorus, we'll actually go C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G. And that's our complete chorus. So let's play through the whole chorus for you. 2, 3, 4. C, D, and G. And there we have our chorus, written reasonably sensibly to go with our verse. So we're still in the key of G. So the next part will be to look at the bridge. The bridge, which we've come to now, is where we get to do things a little bit different again and try and make the song sound, or the bridge part, sound quite like it's still part of the song. So we're still in the same key and we're still using the choice of chords G, A minor, B minor, C, D or E minor, but we're just modifying it a bit so it gives it a different tone, a different feel, a different sound. But it doesn't have to be a different feel, it can be at least a different tone by using some different chords. Now we haven't used E minor a lot. In this we've used it once in our chorus, so we're going to use E minor for the bridge. Again, it ties back to the chorus, in that we do have an E minor in there. So we'll start our bridge with an E minor. And then we'll go to a C, to a D, G, back to an E minor, stay on E minor, then D, a D suspended fourth, to a D. So those chords were chosen just because I thought they sounded nice, and they are the chords that are out of those 6 chords that we're allowed to use. When I say allowed to, that we can use other chords, but the 6 chords that we know will work well in this particular key. So our bridge will sound like this now. E minor, C, D, G, E minor, E minor, D, D suspended fourth to a D. There we go. That is our bridge. So we now have a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. So next I'll play through all of them for you, and we'll try it in 5 different, I was going to say different feels, but using 5 different ways of playing that same song, or that same piece of music. And we'll play it through as verse, chorus, bridge, and back to the chorus again. We're back again, and we're going to look at all of the parts of the song. So the verse, the chorus, and the bridge. And we'll play it in the order of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus for you. And first time that I play it through will be just strumming, just a normal strum, normal tempo, nothing different at all. You will just get to play it through so you can hear how the song goes from the verse to the chorus to the bridge, and we'll see if it works. We'll see if we need to change anything that isn't quite working or making sense. So, no introduction yet, and I'll show you how we'll pull the introduction out when we get to the end. But we're just going to start with, quite simply, verse 1, chorus, bridge, and chorus. Here we go. 2, 3, starting on verse. 2, 3, 4, C. 2, 3, 4, G. Back to a C. G. And D7 now. Now we're going to play the chorus. D. 2, 3, 4. G. 2, 3, 4. That's it. E minor. C. 2, 3, 4. D. G. Now we're going to the bridge. You can hear that sound change. C. D. E minor for 2 bars. E minor. D. D sus4 to a D. And back to the chorus. D. G. E minor. 2, 3, 4. C. D. G. And there we go, we've played it all the way through. So for a verse, a chorus, and a bridge, that sounds pretty much okay. That'll work. Now, the question I had earlier was about the introduction. And where do we get the introduction from? The easiest way to find the chords for the introduction is usually to take them from the last few bars or the last 4 bars of the chorus. That is seriously the easiest way to work out what do I do as an introduction. You can play the verse chords through, like the first 4 chords of the verse as well. And that's quite okay, and that is quite a normal way of coming up with those 4 chords. But you can also play, if you like, the last 4 bars of the chorus. So in our case, our introduction will be C, D, G, and then into the verse. Okay? If you preferred to play the first 4 bars of the chorus instead and give it a C, G, G, E minor, but that doesn't lead nicely into the verse again. So it's not really quite suitable. Another option, third option, is to grab the last 4 bars of the bridge and lead that into the verse as well. up to you. Either one, take your pick. But for our case, we'll use the last 4 chords out of the chorus as our introduction. And next we're going to look at how we can change that into our second type of rhythm or way of playing the exact same chords to make the song sound like a totally different song. Okay, we have our introduction, which is C, D, and G, and G. And then we have our verse, G, C, G, D, and so on. And through our chorus, C, D, G, E minor, C, D, G, and our bridge, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, D, D sus4 to a D. And we have our whole structure of our song all ready for us to make or to use. So our question is, how can we make this sound quite different? And the second way of playing it is to make it a 6/8 piece, meaning that we play the rhythm and the timing as 6/8. And instead of strumming it, we're going to pick it. So there's 2 different things we're going to change here. We're going to change from 4/4 to 6/8, which means we count 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for each bar. And we're going to pick it as well, which means instead of strumming, we're going to use our fingers and finger pick. So the rhythm or the feel of it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's try that from the top using our new introduction as well. C, D, G, G, and into the verse, chorus, bridge, and we'll finger pick all the way through. Here we go, in 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, verse we're in. G. D7, our chorus. D, G, E minor, D, G, our bridge, D, E minor, stay on E minor for 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chorus, G, E minor, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we have our second version of that song that sounds quite different to, if you want to go back and have a listen to it, our strumming version that we played previously. We've still got a couple more to go yet, so we're going to try 3 more different ways of playing the same song. Okay, the way we're going to play this song this time is to play a little bit more like a rock song, I guess. So to do that, we're going to, instead of just playing nice and even strumming, we're going to mute the guitar and we're going to play it with a muted, faster tempo, or sort of, make it sort of sound like it's pumping along a bit. And that will give it quite a different sound again. It's still in, we're going to be in 4/4, so it'll be 1, 2, 3. That was in 6/8 then, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that'll be the sort of feel that we're going to give it. So using our introduction, C, D, G, G, and into verse 1, chorus, bridge, back to chorus again. That's what we're going to play, and we will play that with a bit more of an up-tempo, rocky sort of sound. Here we go. 1, 2... Oh, I should mention that I'll also play these chords. Instead of playing open chords for a lot of them, I'll play them using the 1st and the 5th note in the chord, so it's using bar chords. You can play them open, but I will sometimes, for some of them, jump to like a C chord would be played like this, and I'll just be using those 3 strings. A D chord, same, 3 strings just here, and an E minor will just be the bottom notes, the bottom 3. Okay, now that I've fixed that up, let's go. Here you go, 1 with our intro, 2, 3, 4, C, D, G, 2, 3, 4. D, G. Now a bridge. Now to our D with a suspended fourth. 2, 3, our chorus. G, down to an E minor. C, D, G. There you go. So that's a different way again of playing the same chord pattern with a different feel, a different type of rhythm for it that gives it a completely different song or a sound that sounds like it is a totally different song, even though it's exactly the same chords we've been playing right from the start. So I've got a couple more yet. We'll move on to those. We're going to look at this again from a different perspective. And this is using a country type of feel. Now, I know there's different types of country, but we're going to go with the 1/5 bass line type way of playing through country, where we do that sort of sound. And 1/5 meaning that if you're playing a C note, you play the C note and then you play the fifth, which is C, D, E, F, G, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C to a G, or in our case, a C to a G, and that will give us that sort of sound. So same chords that we've used for all the other versions, still the same chords, but we're going to give them that sort of country sound by the way we place the bass, by the way we play the bass notes. So let's go from the introduction, verse 1, chorus, bridge, chorus. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. There's our D chord, G, G chord. So verse 3, 4, verse, G, D, back to a G, a D7, our chorus, D, G, to an E minor, C, D, G, now a bridge, to a C, D, back to a G, E minor for 2 bars, stay on E minor, then a D, then a D7 or D sus4 to a D, chorus, C chord, a D, G, G, 2, 3, 4, and there we go. That was our version of giving it a sort of bit more of a country feel, using again the same chords that we started with. So you can see how we transition from the same chord pattern but to quite different sounds and different styles of music. We still have, I think we've got one more to go yet. Alright, our last version of this song that we're going to do is a jazz version. And for this one, I'm still going to use the same chords as we wrote right back at the very beginning. But this time I'm going to add a few extra notes to them. So what I mean by that is if it says G, I may play G7. If it says C, I may play C7 or I may play C ninth. A D, maybe a D7 instead. E minor will probably still be E minor. I may play a C major 7 maybe. We'll see how we go. But what I'm showing you is that the same group of chords can be used over all different styles, and with different rhythms, a different feel, it can change, completely change what that sounds like. So let's have a look at this from a bit of a jazz perspective. Same introduction, same verse, same chorus, same bridge, back to the chorus again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. That's our introduction. Now verse. our C, G, to our bridge, E minor, to a C, to a G, E minor, to 3 back to our chorus, and back to our G. Or a G13 we could use. Give that a bit of a jazz sound. Okay, so that's the variations on each one of those songs, and I'll finish up with a roundup on that in just a second. So finally, we got all the way through it. We created one piece of music. So just the music for the verse, for the chorus, and for the bridge in the key of G. We used only chords out of the G major scale. So that's a G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor. Notice we actually didn't use many of them. We only used G, C, D, and E minor. So we still have A minor and B minor, which we could use somewhere in that piece, but we didn't want to overcomplicate it. What we did then is we played that in 4/4, just strumming. We then played it again in 6/8 by fingerpicking. We played it again in 4/4, this time playing it as more of a rock piece. So that's muted and pumped like that. Then we played a bit of a country version. And then we played a jazz version. Using some variations on jazz chords that go with those basic chords. So hopefully that's been really useful to you. What you can do now, and what your project is for you to come up with your own collection of chords, a verse, a chorus, and a bridge, and then for you to spend that time playing at least 2 different versions of that, and try and come up with 2 different ways of playing those same chords to give it a different feel, a different sound, as though you're writing the chords for the same song, but you're coming up with 2 completely different songs that go in completely different directions using that same chord pattern. I hope that's been really, really useful to you. My name is Chris Richter, and I'll talk to you again soon in the next class. But yeah, we might work through another one of these a bit later. Let me know in the messaging there if you would like me to go through and do a different one for you with quite a different collection of chords, and show you some different ways again of playing those same groups of chords, but in very different styles and very different rhythms. Hope it's been helpful, and I'll talk to you again soon.